So, good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Janet. Good afternoon, Michael, Sandra, Lawrence, and all our participants. So, my name is Doris Mwikali, and I'll be the host for this webinar to discuss youth in business shifting to e-commerce to mitigate COVID-19. So before we start, I just want to wish everybody a happy Red Cross month. And I think we'll proceed to the housekeeping and engagement rules. So one of the things that we want to ensure is that if you're a speaker and you're not speaking at a particular time, ensure that your mic is off so that the sound can be very clear. For those who are not tech savvy like Michael, the mic is on the lower part of the camera, of the screen. The second rule is that every speaker will be given 15 minutes to tackle a question. And we want to ensure that we have a very interactive session. So once somebody has only 5 minutes left, I will privately write on your chat and I'll tell you that you have only 5 minutes left so that you can wrap up everything. So according to the running order, we're supposed to have Lawrence from UNTCAD, who is going to introduce what UNTCAD Youth Action Hub does, what's the purpose of this particular partnership. Then after that, we'll have Sandra Omariba from Marketing Society of Kenya, who will speak on what Marketing Society of Kenya does and the role of this particular partnership. And lastly, we'll have Grace Waswar, who is my co-host for this webinar. She'll talk about the Vijana 2.0 initiative, and she'll also move straight forward to the first panelist, and that's Janet Machuka. So without wasting more time, let me introduce Lawrence. Lawrence, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so 5 minutes, Lawrence.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, Doris, for having me on this call. And we are very happy to partner to be able to do this call together with Vijana 2.0 Initiative and MSK, Marketing Society of Kenya, and all the other partners who have joined us as panelists on this call. So I'm just gonna do the work of introducing what UNCTAD Youth Action Hub is and telling you a bit more about what we do. So without further much ado, let me get into it. So UNCTAD Youth Action Hub is a global network of youth action hubs around the world and currently in about 42 countries around the world. Started in 2018 by youth at a forum in Geneva where they wanted to put their voice behind issues that concern young people that lie within development and trade. So principally, our role is that we connect young people and we comment on matters that fall within UNCTAD's mandate. So that is what we do as the UNCTAD Youth Action Hub. So we have a chapter in Kenya that so, sorry, we have a, am I audible?
You are. Oh, so like to have the, Lawrence, a minute, to have the sound clear, can Bernard kindly, your mic is on and Janet, so that you can be able to hear Lawrence clearly. Bernard, can you hear me? Hello? Okay, I'll just text him. Okay, Lawrence, you can continue.
All right, yes. So to carry on is that one of the issues that lie within the mandate of UNCTAD is the development of the space, of the digital e-commerce space for conducting business today. So we are happy that we are on this call today. Panelists who can provide us necessary insights around this area, drawn from various disciplines, people with different experiences, and people who have.
Janet?
Sorry, there's the interruption, and there's someone who's joined us, Janet Machuka.
Oh yeah, like I want, let me text her whether she can join her.
There are two people. Grace, are you able to mute participants, panelists?
Yeah. Doris, I think as the host, you can be able to mute everybody.
Yeah, let me do that. There. Is everybody muted now?
Yeah, like Lawrence, you can go on. Lawrence? Lawrence?
Sorry, I was muted in the process. Very sorry. I was muted in the process by the host. So like I was saying, we are happy today to be on this call to speak about this critical issue today, the e-commerce area, which provides a landscape that young people can use as an avenue today to continue conducting business, even in the wake of COVID-19. And just to give an example, one of the key things that the Hub we are working on is an e-commerce initiative of our own with a partner that helps young people to be able to link to the market. This is producers and traders and giving them access to a market. Statistics that are coming out of recent UNCTAD research show that the world e-commerce trade increased by 8% to about $25.6 trillion, and that is just in 2018 before COVID. So it is a very critical medium today for enabling businesses to continue operations and for enabling young people to be able to reinvent themselves. And therefore, as a Hub, may we just say how honored we are to be able to be discussing this with an expert panel on matters e-commerce. I'll hand it back to you, Doris, and then we will have more closing remarks from me at the end.
Thank you, Lawrence. So thank you, Lawrence, for speaking about what the Hub does, because I'm sure a lot of people wanted to know what is UNCTAD Youth Action Hub and what it does. So thank you for enlightening us. So the next person to speak on Marketing Society of Kenya is Sandra Mariba. So Sandra, please. Sandra, we can't hear you.
Sandra, unmute yourself.
Tech savvy. So, hi everyone. I am Sandra Mariba. I'm the digital marketer of the Marketing Society of Kenya, and as well as the vice president of the Student National Council of MSK. What we do at the Marketing Society of Kenya is that it empowers and regulates businesses within the marketing industry. And for the youth body, we work hand in hand with the MSK professional body to facilitate guidance and offer mentorship to the youth. So this partnership was very essential and beneficial to us in that we are able to leverage youth networks and create a platform that helps simplify conversations in areas of interest for the youth, and one of those interests is e-commerce. Yes, thank you. I'm hoping to have a very fruitful discussion.
Thank you so much, Sandra. So after this, I'm going to hand over to Grace, and she's going to introduce Vijana People Initiative, and then she will move on to the first panelist. So Grace.
Hi, everyone. My name is Grace Waswa. I am the founder of Vijana Tupo Initiative, and I'm also the co-host in this discussion. So Vijana Tupo Initiative is an initiative that seeks to provide sustainable and workable solutions for young people. In essence, what we do is we hold online conversations on various platforms such as WhatsApp, Zoom, as you can see today, and we recently launched a podcast that you can find on Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Anchor FM. Kindly check it out. And these conversations are supposed to empower and to impact young people. I am very, very pleased to be here, and I'm hoping that we're going to have a very fruitful discussion.
So Grace, we move on to the first panelist, right?
Great, no problem. So I cannot, okay, I see Janet. So our first panelist is Miss Janet Machuka. Janet is a digital marketing strategist, and she is also the founder of Africa Teachers Academy and Africa Teacher Conversations. Hi, Janet.
Hi.
Hi, thank you for being here today. I'll just dive into the first question. Now, the enforcement of social distancing, lockdowns in different countries around the world, partial lockdowns like in our country, Kenya, and various responses that have been taken by governments in a bid to mitigate the impact of COVID-19 have led consumers to ramp up online shopping, social media use, and internet use. Now, Janet, as a digital marketing strategist, how would you advise young people who are in business and are trying to move to the e-commerce space, take advantage of marketing, just learn how to market and take advantage of the marketing space? And my second question to you is about your initiative, the Africa Teacher Academy, which is a platform that provides possibilities, marketing for possibilities for businesses all over Africa. So as a founder of Africa Teacher Academy, which seeks to expand marketing possibilities, as I have said, how would you advise young people to use your platform and even other platforms to learn and to expand their knowledge on digital marketing skills?
Thank you, Grace, for this, and thank you for having me here today. So I'll go straight to, because you have already actually introduced me, I'll just go straight to the questions. First of all of us were caught up in this situation. We were not prepared. We didn't expect it. We thought this is our year, 2020, those resolutions we usually write in January. And then it turned out the way it turned out. The good thing I like about how people have tried to cope around it is the fact that people are really trying to learn, find where they feel like they are comfortable to learn about digital marketing, on how to market, on how to find niche groups, on how to find people who they believe can help them, and on how to find Zoom sessions like this one to learn something new from people like I, so that they can know on how to go about their products and services and their brands at large. So first point will be learning. How are you learning? How are you trying to understand this digital space? Because some of us actually didn't have interest, don't have skills to do with digital marketing, but we are wondering, how will we start? Look for focus groups. Search for webinars that are actually are being offered for free. Check out for tweet chats, like Africa Tweet Chats. Find what is happening on Google, like in terms of blogs. There are people actually who are experts in blogging, and they can give you very good ideas on how to go about digital marketing. And currently, as people now, more so the people who sell products and services, and I will basically touch on products because that's where most of the people find time to go on the e-commerce sites to see if they can sell or to open small shops where they believe that they can find people and buy their products. One, as you learn or as you think about opening that small shop, consider empathy. As much as you are posting, as much as you want to sell, as much as you want to tell people that you have opened a shop maybe on Jumia or on Kilimo, think about how you will package it to a point where people will feel you care about them, you care the fact that this situation has caught us up, all of us unaware, and you're ready to help them in one way or the other. Try to pick only helpful products that you believe that can sell at this particular time, because there are things actually I believe they're not going as fast as they used to be during those times we never used to have COVID-19. And so be selective in the kind of products that you put upfront. Which ones do you believe people will likely to buy earlier or fast? For instance, if you look at the current situation, most of the people are at home. People are trying to learn how to bond with each other as a family. People are cooking together. People are finding things related to family and how they can entertain themselves, gift each other at the same time, be comfortable. How are you packaging those products if you feel they are in they actually focus on those aspects: family, fun, togetherness, and the comfort aspect. Something else is this current situation should teach businesses on how to be less salesy. Forget about being too salesy. Currently, people still want to see or to hear you talk about how they should take care of themselves, how they should protect themselves, or how they should spend on a product or a service cheaper than they used to spend in the past. So avoid being too salesy. And something else, as you share on social media, remember, the e-commerce sites are there to add the products, but not necessarily to sell them for you directly. That is why we have social media platforms. People will know about you if you share to your social media platforms. People are on social media. They are not on the e-commerce sites unless they saw somebody talk about you on social media, unless they saw somebody talk about you maybe during a webinar they were part of. And so you should really focus on how are you packaging, or how are you constantly marketing, constantly reminding them that you are there, maybe on Kilimo, maybe on Jumia. Something else is be a marketer. You know, this situation has actually found us in a place where some of us didn't have budgeted cash to advertise our products, to contract influencers, or to get people to do Google ads or sponsored ads on social media. So how should you go about it as a solopreneur, as a brand that never thought of using social media in the past? One, be a marketer. And the only way you're going to be a marketer is by learning. We already talked about you in being part of niche groups, being part of Twitter chats, constantly asking for guidance from experts you believe that can help you. Being a marketer is actually easy. It's not as hard as how people usually put it. It's just the word of mouth. You knowing how to communicate to people, human to human, okay? Something else is the good thing about e-commerce is you can easily track. So constantly track everything that you do on social media, on digital platforms. Actually, this will help you know if you're growing, if you are, there is something wrong you're doing, who is talking about you. And at the same time, if you are able to put some competitors, like people who are in your line of business and know what they are doing on social media, or something that people talked about them and you believe your brand can do better. So make sure that you track what is happening on your digital platforms constantly, as much as you are starting, okay? Something else is testimonials. I'll use an example. Sometime back, like 2 weeks ago, when COVID-19 was actually kicking in and people were staying at home, there is this grill pan people have been using to roast meat. I think most of you have seen it on social media, to roast the double grill pan, where people are roasting meat, and then others are using it to bake cake. Others are using it to even cook rice. You see, that is one of the equipment most of the people never knew about. And I liked the fact that most of the e-commerce sites actually jumped on that, as in they jumped on the trend, and then they made sure that they were sharing constantly that they have that equipment. And so businesses which are actually in that line of business were benefiting in that they were selling more, because it was like a trend. And if you didn't have it, you might look like you're not current. You're not you're not going with the trend. And you know very well, people on social media love being part of the trend. Okay, so testimonials, as much as people are sharing out of their own will, how are you picking their comments? How are you picking the experiences they are sharing? Not necessarily people you paid, but again, you reshare to your platforms, because that is one of the easiest way actually to get a customer base, because people believe people, and people believe people who talk without really being paid. Something else, have almost a perfect customer care. When I'm talking about a perfect customer care, I don't mean that you employ or hire the most expensive social media manager in order to help you do your digital customer service or management. I mean, you looking at it from a point of conversation level. How do you want to be responded to if you are the person that who was going to buy or ask something from people? And in the process, put yourself into their shoes. When you put yourself into their shoes, you will realize, yes, the same way I would want to be responded to is the same way I will want to respond to people. This customer service should focus more on empathy. Talk about how can you package your content in a way that people will trust you. Currently, most of the people are actually using social media platforms, and sometimes actually they stamp all over your products and services, not like they thought they knew they were going to meet it or to come across it and start engaging with you. So as much as you are not always there on your social media platform to respond to them, try as much as you can, at least to respond timely. This will actually is one of the ways that will make your customer service look almost perfect, even though you are not spending all the time. You can employ the tools which are there for free, just for automated tools that will respond for you when you're not there, and then later on, you make sure that you respond to each and every person, because in one way or the other, customer service is going to help you create relationships with these people. As much as some of them might not get that help they needed from you, at least you would have connected with them. Something else, do an analysis of which of the e-commerce sites you will want to be on. Don't just jump on any. Choose one. If you have to choose two, make sure that they are in line with your niche. They are in line with your products, and they are e-commerce sites that you believe that will help you grow, that will in one way or the other talk about you, because it feels nice when you're being talked about where you are one of the family members. Something else that is I don't know if it's point number 10 or 9. Don't stop marketing. And in this, I want to remind you that there's a difference between marketing and advertising. Marketing, you have to constantly talk about you. And currently we have so many channels, so many avenues that we can actually use in checking out how often are people talking about us, or how are we talking to people. Leverage on social media stories. Instagram stories, WhatsApp stories, Facebook stories. And something else, put your customers first. Remember, if they are not there, you are not there. Even if you have to, make sure that you constantly follow, check on them, ask them. And if you are lucky to get one as one of your customers, be part of them as they continue their customer journey. And something else, lastly, for that question, and I know my time is almost up, love your social media platforms. An e-commerce site is just like a shop until when you talk about you have it, until when you start sharing your store to your social media platforms, people won't know that you exist. People are on social media, as I said. On question 2 about Africa Twitch Chat, how can you as an entrepreneur leverage it to learn, to grow, and in one way or the other, get something out of it that you believe that is more of importance to you? One, you can request to be one of our guests, but make sure that you are in line with what we actually love discussing, or the kind of panelists that are the kind of guests that we usually have. So as much as you will want to be one of our guests, we have to look at different factors. This I might not speak here because I have other things to talk about and time is actually not on my side. So if you would like to know about you coming on board as one of our guests on Africa Tweet Chat, you can actually look for me on my Twitter at Janet Machuka or at Africa Tweet Chat. You can join to learn every Wednesday from 9 p.m. Kenyan time, where we have different guests and experts from different countries. You can ask questions. Every day we are open to any question. If you feel like you want to ask a question, just tag the handle at Africa Tweet Chat and use the hashtag. Or you can DM us, or you can follow Janet Machuka _ ask her, or you can ask Barry Onyango. He's one of our co-founders. You can leverage on consultancy. Ask. You know, most of the people usually fear maybe telling Janet Machuka, can you help me with this? Or can you help me with that? Or they'll be like, if I tell her, she wouldn't even listen. But have you ever asked? Grace Waso, I remember we connected on social media just because you asked, and here we are. We have different experts, as I said. And so as much as we bring them on board, they will love to create their networks. They would love to see people asking them questions. The good thing about digital, actually, consultancy, 90% is almost free. How can you leverage on it? How can you ask them, or how can you gain from them? We always, as I said, we are always open for requests. If you want to ask anything, kindly look for us. And I can see some questions in, but I believe I will be able to answer some of them as we continue our conversation.
Thank you, Grace. Thank you, Janet, so much. So before we hand over to Grace, some of the participants, if you have some questions, you can just like write it in the Q&A question, then we will submit them to the panelists at the end of the discussion. And before we go on, I remember that Liz said something about having a wholesome conversation. So I would just like to highlight some of the things that Janet has brought up. So one of the, some of the things that Janet has brought up, and one of the things I liked that Janet says is that one of the positive things that is happening due to COVID-19 is the positivity of businesses adapting to be able to mitigate what COVID-19 is doing. I mean, that's a very powerful, that's something very profound. So if you're a young person and you're doing business, you could try and see it the way Janet is seeing it. Try carve out that positive energy and push your business to the e-commerce space. And she has talked about you using testimonials to push up your business. She has talked about perfect customer care, like always listen to your customer, try get back to the people that are reaching out on you to social media. And they always say that social media creates a collapse of time. And that's one of the things that Janet was talking about when choose one e-commerce platform to push your business. Because if there's a collapse of time, you will overwhelm people if you go to every single platform. So choose one platform and make sure that you properly market your business there. So I just wanted to bring out some of the things that Janet has said, and we're going to have a write-up because what she has said, there's a lot of good points that she has brought forth, and we don't want to have any of our participants missing out on that. So we're gonna do a write-up, and we're going to post it on social media so that you can be able to get all those points. We're also gonna post a link of all the recording of this. So I think I've said enough. So I'm just going to hand over to move forward to the next panelist, and that is Liz. Okay, bye.
Okay. Thank you, Doris and Janet. I think one thing that has come out has also come out clearly is the soft skill of pure empathy. I mean, most of us don't pay attention to pure empathy, but it is very powerful in business. Thank you very much, Janet, for that discussion. Now, our next panelist is Liz Ntonjira. Liz Ntonjira is the head of Global Corporate Communications at Amref Health Africa, and she's also the founder of Liz Ntonjira Networks. Yes. Hi, Liz.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Grace. Hello,
okay, thank you for being here, Liz. So just onto you.
Grace, I don't know why you're breaking.
Okay.
Grace, you're breaking.
Just on to your first question.
Grace, you're breaking. I don't know what's up with
I'm
that.
breaking.
Yeah.
And she froze.
Oh,
Oh, okay. So I think she's back.
can you hear me now?
Yeah, perfect now. That's perfect.
Sorry about that. So, as I had introduced Liz,
And it's happening again.
she's the head of global corporate corporations at Amref Health Africa, and she is also the founder of Liz. Okay, I think I'm going to just use the audio. Is that okay?
Yes, perfect.
Because I think my connection is quite low. So
Yeah.
I'll just use the audio feature.
Perfect.
Okay. So my first question to you, Liz, is
So I think Grace, we can't hear you, and you have a problem with your audio. Grace?
pandemic has highlighted the importance of digital technologies, yeah?
Grace,
How is Amref Health Africa? I'm really, really sorry about that. Can you hear me clearly now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, okay. So the pandemic has highlighted the importance of
Okay, Grace, I think you have a problem with an audio. Let me ask
digital technologies.
Grace, we can't hear you.
How is Amref Health Africa using this shift to offer better health system to the community? And proceed to the next. Is that okay?
Okay, cool.
Grace, we can't hear you properly. You're breaking off. So can you sort that out? I'll proceed with the questions with Liz. So you can just sort that out. Then we'll come back to you.
No problem.
Okay, perfect. So Liz has been perfectly introduced by Grace. So I'm just going to go to the first question. So the pandemic has brought a lot of positivity in using digital technologies. So the first question is, how has Amref Africa tried to leverage this to ensure that it provides effective health services to communities? And how can young people that are trying to shift the e-commerce space learn from Amref's success story? And the next question is, as the founder of Liz Ntonjira Network, it's a network that you guys are doing such good work. You're mentoring young people every day. And during this time of crisis, there are a lot of young people that are seeking guidance, a lot of young people that feel trapped, especially with issues with mental health. I see you guys talk about that. You talk about gender-based violence. So how can you advise young people to use this particular space to get some advice on some of the issues they might be facing in regards to e-commerce, in regards to just like trying to get their feet back together in regards to COVID-19?
Okay, thank you so much, Doris. Hello, everybody. Thank you, Janet, for those wonderful pointers. Yes, so I'll just speak very briefly in 30 seconds or less about Amref Health Africa. It's the largest international NGO on health issues. We have over 160 projects spread across 35 African countries. We also do have operations in 11 Europe and North America offices. And we do have 3 subsidiaries, that's Amref Flying Doctors, Amref International University, and Amref Enterprises. So we are quite a huge group of very many things that we do. So one of the things that we've been doing, because a lot of our work is based on the project in the field, one of the things that we've been able to do more, I would say better, is our LEAP, our digital innovation programs and projects, and one of them being LEAP. LEAP is a mobile-based solution that our community health workers, as well as our frontline health workers, get real-time information and training about COVID or any other health-related diseases and prevention. So we've been able to deploy this in Kenya alone. We've trained over 50,000 community health workers and frontline health workers around this with a digital platform. In Ethiopia, it has been adapted as the only solution which is very good for us, that all stakeholders can use in terms of health learning. In our university, since we cannot be able, schools were closed, we have been able to deploy and convert a lot of our curriculums and courses into the digital platforms. So people are more and more getting into online learning. I know there has been an issue about, okay, we need so much data bundles, but when you think about it on the flip side, you're having some savings on, you're not paying for any hostels, you're not paying for any food, you're at home, you're learning from the comfort of wherever it is that you are. So when you think about it, there's some cost savings that have been made. We also have a platform called Jibu. So we've been able to invest more and better in some of our digital solutions, and that's what we're currently using. We've also been able to think out of the box in terms of our communication and policy work. And by this, I mean, we launched the first ever Africa Health COVID Center. This is an information center that is Africa-based. If you need any information regarding COVID, just go into the platform. You'll find all the emergency numbers that you need to call across Africa, all the national restrictions and guidelines that government has given. It also does have social media toolkits that help guide people on prevention measures, I beg your pardon, prevention measures. So we've been able to really adapt with that. And, you know, one of the biggest successes is having large institutions use the material that we are collating and disseminating as examples of thought leadership. In Zambia, we have created information, communication, and learning material in Braille, because when we talk about COVID, a lot of people forget that they're persons with disability. So in Zambia, we've been able to actually put out all this information in IEC information into Braille, and we're working on how it can be done in sign. So these are some of the innovations that are coming up that we are using across Africa. And it has been challenging because a lot of other donor-oriented work has to be done in the field. We do a lot of trainings which are face-to-face, where we need people physically in a room to train them about certain issues, but we're trying to see innovative ways of how we can be able to deploy that, ensuring business continuity. So amongst the things that I would say, just adding on to what Janet very comprehensively gave, is when I think about e-commerce, I think about two key things. One is the visibility. Are you visible? Do people know about your products and services, what you're offering? Have you profiled your target audience? And the reason I say target audience is because it is so important to know who your customer is, so that you're able to identify what is the best channel of communication to them. So for instance, if I'm running a shop that is targeting the youth, I would rather be on TikTok and Instagram. And because I want to ensure that I'm a master of something, I would rather invest more in making sure that my website is appealing, my Instagram is appealing, my TikTok is appealing, depending on how you've segmented your market. If I'm targeting maybe an older generation over 40, I'll make sure my website really feeds into them. I will use maybe Twitter, I will use maybe Facebook. So I think that key information is very important. And I find a lot of young people just putting out information, and when you ask somebody who is your target audience, and they say everybody. So everybody cannot be your target audience. You have to really identify your niche. It reminds me of this conversation where somebody said, that shoe is like 30,000. Who would buy such a shoe? And the owner told me, well, I have my target market. I mean, there specific people that I target, and this is how I make money. If I did not make money, I would have closed shop. So it's very important for you to ensure that you have your customers properly classified. I think the other thing is working with partners. When you're thinking about e-commerce, a lot of times people don't think about two important components, which is delivery and payment. How are you going to pay? What medium or channels of payment are you going to use? And when I think about this, I think of, you have to think beyond the boundaries. You have to think, when I'm launching this platform, my online shop, am I only targeting Kenya? If I'm only targeting Kenya, then I would use, Airtel Money, M-Pesa, etc. But if I'm thinking beyond, what are the other mediums or modes of payment that people can be able to access my product? The other thing that people need, I think, to think about is the delivery. I think this is the biggest challenge in Africa specifically on e-commerce, because, in Europe or North America, when you give a certain address, that goes exactly there. For us, it's very hard because our logistics is a nightmare. Just because of the address issue. If you can identify partners to work with to solve this logistical nightmare or issue, then that will be very critical for your business continuity and for your operations. And then just going to your question about the Liz Ntonjira network, it's a network that was founded in August 2019. The main agenda of the network is to offer innovative, engaging, interactive coaching for the youth. We've been very successful in just about 8 months of our launch. We've been able to offer 15 scholarships to different young people. We've been able to reach over 500 young people through our various initiatives. And also we've been able to impact to have registered over 1,000 youth. And the beauty of registering on the platform is you get on a weekly basis, on a 2 weeks is bi-weekly, right? Yes, every 2 weeks you're able to get information about grant opportunities, funding opportunities, job opportunities, scholarship opportunities, which are really important for the youth. So that's pretty much about the network. You can always join the network by going to the website, www.lizntonjiranetwork.com, and just click the join button. But so far, I think I've captured what ideally I wanted to speak about, which was presence, partners, and key audience on e-commerce.
Thank you so much, Liz. And I think one of the things that also came out from your very nice speech is that most people, I even remember I joined a webinar where everybody was talking about we don't have enough internet infrastructure for people to move to e-commerce. But Liz has brought out a very positive point. You're saving on so many things because you're working from one place, you're working from home. So instead of looking at it in a very negative light, you can be thinking, I'm saving on this because I'm at home. I could spend this money to ensure that I have enough infrastructure to move to the e-commerce space. So I think a lot of young people might be missing on that. Instead of spending your time on the challenges that you may be facing, you may be trying to see what costs that this particular crisis, because crisis always presents new opportunities. So what opportunity has this crisis presented for you? What are you saving from your business? And how can you use that to move to the e-commerce space? So I think that's a very beautiful point.
And if I could quickly add, in terms of payment modules, I know people have become very innovative in the sense that there is a company, I do not remember the name, but I think I read about it, that they offer virtual payments. It's sort of like a virtual payment sort of thing, which can really help you think and transcend beyond borders. And when you think about the cost outputs, and you want to really invest in your internet infrastructure, think about it this way. You can really have a room or an area in your house where you store all your merchandise. So you're not thinking about paying the city council license. You're not thinking about paying the rent in a particular area that you're leasing that space. You're not thinking about the daily operational expenditure. You're not thinking about a number of things. So when you do that analysis and invest that money into enhancing and strengthening your e-commerce platform, then you'll really, I think you'll be successful. But the biggest point is making sure you understand your customer and who your customer is.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Liz. And she kept time. That was also very nice.
You're on mute.
Sorry, I'm sorry. So I don't know. Janet, my sister has logged in twice. Who is this? Oh my God. I think we have like a Zoom bomber. I think we're just going to ignore him and move forward. So the next panelist is Michael. Is Michael here? Michael? Michael?
Yeah, hello.
I think people want to see you. So you have your video
Sorry?
on. Can you turn your video on?
Let me turn my video on just a second. Okay.
Oh, okay. So I can see yeah. So Michael is the head of IT at Triple OK LLP. It's one of the biggest corporate law firms in the country. So the reason why we have Michael on actually is because he's such a young guy to be leading such a big company. So we thought he'd be very inspirational to all the young people that have joined us today. So Michael, your first question is, the private sector has enacted a lot of measures to ensure that they are able to move from the new normal of doing business to the e-commerce space to be able to effectively cater for the needs of their clients. So Triple OK as a service provider to its clients, how do you guys try to navigate this shift from having your clients come into the office to try and move your services to the e-commerce space, and what can young people learn from that perspective? And on to your second question, you recently made it to the top 2019 40, top 40 under 40 men 2019 list. So as a young professional who is very passionate about IT and digital space, what advice would you have for people that are new to this particular space? And yeah, what tips do you have them? So these are my two questions.
Thank you, Doris. Hello, everyone. So just to start off, Triple OK Law LLP is one of the law firms within the country. And when the pandemic came into the country, we had quite a seamless migration into just working remotely and reaching our clients remotely. Just prior to the pandemic, we had spent a bit of time on moving most of our services to cloud, which is now, this consists of our email service, document management service, case management, HR, everything was available on cloud from a desktop, laptop, your phone, regardless of your location. So the change which we had to enforce most of all was now how to deal with the clients remotely. We've had webinar sessions, we've had online calls with clients. We have discouraged the social gathering in regards to people working from the office or having clients at the office. For documents, we've gone a step further into having digital signatures so as to avoid having to print a document, sign it, and then forward it again, or having to deliver hard copies. So we've issued signatures to all the signatories within the law firm. So this allows us to keep our footprint in regards to physical exposure quite low, while leveraging strongly on now this disruptive technologies, cloud, AI, and the likes. So just one second, I had a few points. So one way that at least the private sector has been helping has been just the reducing of the cost of money transfer, which has benefited a lot of businesses. So this is an expenditure save for a lot of businesses. And in some cases, that cost of transfer has been completely made free. So that's another saving point. Also, access to facilities such as loans has been made easier, and some existing loans have been provided for sort of cushioning during this period, which should be able to support the SMEs and other businesses. Now, with the e-commerce platforms, I think it's a great opportunity that stands there for people to benefit from. One is there are a lot of hidden values, for example, in in their partnerships to create job creation. So these e-commerce platforms at the end of the day have a logistics function which requires delivery. And as it was previously mentioned, it's quite chaotic, especially where in the African setup where addresses don't exactly pinpoint the exact household where you live in. So there's a need to grow the logistics side of it. So as more people move their businesses to the e-commerce platform, while other industries are being forced to let people off, and the labor force is now shifting now towards e-commerce, and then the supporting roles within e-commerce, which include the logistics. Another innovative way within the e-commerce platform for the youth to benefit from is hi.
For a minute, I don't know what's wrong with your sound, but there's something that keeps on, I don't know, interrupting you.
Sorry.
I think it's
okay, sorry.
Okay, can you check that?
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So another way that the youth can benefit from, I think last week Saturday we had a huge power blackout, and the one thing I noticed, I went straight to social media, exhausted every WhatsApp status, every Instagram story, and I was like, if someone was getting paid to entertain me right now.
Still something
Sorry?
wrong. Your sound. I don't know if you could switch maybe the camera, the video off, and then just do the audio, because we keep on.
All right.
Yeah.
Is that better?
Okay, let's try.
All right. So another innovative thing I saw was on Saturday when we lost power countrywide. The first thing I did was I went straight to my phone, looked at every status available on WhatsApp, moved to Instagram, looked at every story, and I was done within less than an hour. And the first thing I asked myself was, if someone was being paid as a content creator to entertain me right now, this would be something very important. So the e-commerce platforms are not just for probably goods and service, just for goods. We can see there's an opportunity for content creators in terms of music, animations, and the likes, to even memes, to find a way to commercialize this initiative and to benefit from it. There was a second question you had asked.
Could you repeat the second question?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'd asked as a young professional that made it to the top, I keep on forgetting that, top 40 under 40 men 2019. And you're very passionate about the digital space, like the IT space. What productive tips do you have for young people that are new to this and want to create like a digital footprint at this time to be able to mitigate COVID-19, especially for their businesses?
First piece of advice is just whatever free time you have, just spend it learning right away. A lot of companies and learning platforms right now are offering their courses and trials and all the likes for free or very discounted. Remember, this is an investment in yourself. It's equally an investment in your own business. So go ahead for it, take them up. One thing, at least I've had a few people mention, was that they can't find the right course that they're looking for. They find something close, but not the right thing. You don't necessarily need to find that specific course you're looking for. I remember a few years back, I took a course in 2014 and I started working. And just a few days ago, it was granted the same level of accreditation as having a master's in cybersecurity. So you really don't know, especially with COVID, what's going to happen in regards to how learning will be taken up. So especially in future, so take up that opportunity to go right ahead and learn. Feel free to make your mistakes, experiment with different platforms. If you want to learn how to code and create your own platforms, experiment. Don't expect a big boom in terms of results, but just do the grind and eventually you'll get there.
Okay. So thank you so much, Michael. I think one of the problems, well, the reason why we couldn't hear you clearly, I think it's your walkie-talkie. It was too close, but we've been able to get some of your great insights. And I think one of the things that you said that was very profound was the fact that try your luck. You say that you did some course that was equivalent to a master's in something IT savvy. I didn't get what you said exactly, but that's what most people have been encouraged to do by our panelists today. Try a lot of things and put your energy, like commit to those particular things that you want to do. And Michael talked about him exhausting every single status within an hour, which means that a lot of people are looking for new products. They're looking for new things to try because of social distancing and the lockdown at home. People have more time to spend on social media. So if you want to shift to the e-commerce space, it will be good for you to invest in digital presence to ensure that you put your products out there. So thank you so much, Michael. And our next panelist is Duncan Degwar. So hi, Duncan.
Hi, Doris. How are you?
I'm good. Can you hear me? Your sound is very clear.
Oh, fantastic. I'm glad that everyone can hear me.
Maybe God is on your side. So,
yes. Hopefully everything goes okay.
Perfect. So Duncan Degwa is the legal counsel for the Business Registration Service. One of the sectors under the company's it's under the company's registry, right, Duncan? Yeah, it is. So they have been able to successfully move most of their services to the digital platform. So if you want to do, they've been able to move successfully to the digital platform. So one of the things that I wanted Duncan to highlight is that he has been very pivotal to this success story. So I wanted you to highlight to the young people here, what are some of the lessons that you guys learned when you're trying to shift your services to the digital platform, and what can young people borrow from that particular success story? So thank you, Duncan.
Thank you so much, Doris. Hello, everyone. One of the things that I need to say about the shift of the services from the manual and very, paper-heavy services that government has been offering is that one of the biggest challenges was that paradigm shift. The paradigm shift of moving things from the way people have done them previously, moving them to a digital platform. One of the challenges is Mwananchi. Do they take the paper that you lodge online and that is delivered in hard copy with the same weight? So that's one of the challenges that we had. Of course, the other challenges that we had were the infrastructural challenges because we didn't have very good internet connections. So right now we have an internet connection which has a backup of a backup. So in the case that one of the structures is not working very well, then we're able to shift. I must say at this point in time that actually luck favors the prepared. This journey of automation began sometime in 2016. And the journey is, as I'm going to just say in very short words, Business Registration Service is a government parastatal. It is the one that is tasked with the implementation of policies, laws that have got to do with the registration of companies, businesses, partnerships, and we are also mandated to maintain the registers of these businesses, the data and the records. So it was at a very critical stage that we realized that we are at the nerve center of Kenya's economy, and therefore we had to up our game. I want to tell you for sure that government wants to be a part of this e-commerce business because government has to listen and government has to accommodate the changing times of the way people do businesses. So that's why government is where it is at the moment. So Doris, just to answer your question about the Register of Companies, so under BRS, which is the acronym for the Business Registration Service, we have 4 registries. We have the Register of Companies, we have the Official Receiver, or what we used to call bankruptcy in the previous years, and then we have Hire Purchase, and we have got something else that we call the Movable Property Security Rights Registry, which I'm going to tell all the participants what it is about, so that we can try and simplify all these things. So the Register of Companies is the one that takes care of business registrations, whether you want to register a business name, which is sort of like a sole proprietorship, if you want to register a private company, if you want to register a public company, and so forth. And then the Official Receiver is the person who comes in to rescue the business in the case that it gets into financial problems. I'm sure you all are familiar with the Nakumatt story. So when they were going down, government stepped in, and there are structures on how such a business can be brought back to life. The end game is to try to bring businesses back to life, but in the event that they're not, then is to fold and to make sure that everyone who's owed money is paid money, and they're paid on time, and the business folds. Then there's hire purchase. I'm sure most of us know the ART shops where you can buy things on hire purchase terms. So we keep the records of such agreements. And then there's the final one, which is called the movable property registry, which is something that I'd like to focus on. It is pegged on the principle of getting credit. And because our discussion is focusing on the youth, as focusing on SMEs, the law allows you as a young person, or you as someone who started a small or micro enterprise, to actually use some of your innovations as part of your negotiating tool for facility. Let's bring this one home. We have a lot of innovative Kenyans, and the law has taken cognition that you can actually use an innovation to secure credit with a lending facility. What am I saying? For instance, you may have come up with an app, and that app is supposed to do something to make, some of the things that you do as a community easier. You can be able to approach a lending facility and use your app as your collateral for you to secure credit. And the law actually gets to recognize that, and you are able to start a business. Because as the youth and as people who want to get into business, more often than not, we fall into, the hurdle of, I have a business idea, but I don't know how to finance it. So you can even use your tools of trade. For instance, you can use your motorbike. Say that I want to go and use my motorbike as collateral for me to be able to actually get a facility so that I can be able to access credit. You'll be amazed to know that since the collateral registry came into being about 3 years ago, we have actually numbers exceeding 31 billion USD of amounts borrowed using collaterals that are movable. So we are talking about households. I'm sure the young people have a nice...
Duncan, how much?
Say that again?
You said the amount.
Upwards of 31 billion USD.
Wow, okay.
Yes. So, and you see, that is on movables. We are not talking about buildings. We are not talking about land. We are talking about things that we have access to. You may have a smartphone. A smartphone can actually be used for you to get a facility. So that's one of the things that I would want to say that government is very keen about. But let's move this discussion to another practical level. So I'm a young person and I'd like to register a business, and therefore I want to approach government. Now, the way government is working today is that you can actually register your business end to end online. No physical visit, no moving from your desk. You can actually register your business from your phone, from your laptop, from your iPad, without moving a muscle. And I had a small presentation here, if I'm able to actually just take you through. Let me try and share the screen. It'll be a very quick one.
Okay, that's fine. Okay.
Are we able to see that?
Not yet. I can see, but we can't see anything. It's a bit blank. Oh, perfect. We can see it now.
You can see it now, yeah? Okay, so can I proceed?
Yeah, sure you can proceed.
Okay, so this is the eCitizen page where everyone who would want to register business would log in on the single sign-on page. So for you to register or for you to actually open an account, you actually need an email address, a working phone number, and your national ID. So once you create the account, then you come and log in using your ID and your password. After you do that, you come to the next page, which is the second step, and you just click on make application, either at the top here or at the bottom. Once you do that, you go to the next, it takes you to the next page. There. And you have like 11 services that you can access, but probably what would be of interest to you would be either the registration of a business name or a private company. The only difference amongst these two companies is that it is just on the issue of liability. When you register a business name which is akin to a sole proprietorship or partnership, then the liability is on you as a person. But when you register a private company, then your liability is only limited to the number of shares that you have. So depending on which option that you want to pick, you actually pick one and you go straight into the registration process. It gives you a small synopsis of what it is that you want to register. So if it's a private company, it gives you a small definition of what a private company is, and then it enables you to proceed. Now, the next page should be very interesting, is where you put in 3 mandatory names. So you notice that previously you would conduct a name search separately, and after the name has been approved, then you'd move to the registration. So starting March of this year, we combined both steps. So you do not have to wait for your name to be reserved for you to complete your application. So you actually go to that page and you enter your preferred names in order of priority. So you have preferred name number 1, number 2, number 3, which are mandatory, and then you have an extra 2. So once you put in your preferred numbers in your preferred names in order of priority, you move on to the next page, and basically it will prompt you on the kind of information to put. Do you want to adopt the model articles? For those of you who registered businesses before, there were very big booklets that we used to call memorandum and articles of association. Those we've been able to compress to a 1-pager, or if you'd want to adopt the model articles, they are very standard and they're very easy to use and very straightforward. So I'd like to point out to something that Liz brought about. All these pages is just to input information about the business, the physical location and all that. But I'd like us to focus on this last bit, which is the payment portal. If you look at that, you're going to find that, I'm just trying to enlarge and see whether better. So these are the payment modes that we have. You can actually pay by mobile money, that is M-Pesa, Airtel Money, Easy Pay, or you can use your debit card or credit card or prepaid card. And also if you have large transactions, then we can create something for you that we call an e-agent account. So that is about it. It wasn't, I hope it wasn't a very long a demonstration, but that is how to actually register a business. That would take you about 10 to 15 minutes to register. Again, I want to encourage the young people to take advantage of this, because once you log in and you can be able actually to register a business, you have saved yourself a lot of lawyer money. I hope the lawyers won't hear me. And you're able to register your business, without much ado. I'm trying to rush so that I can cover everything within the shortest time possible. So we've talked about the one. Yes, I need to mention this. For you to register a business name or for you to register a company, we have a target starting 1st of March is to register your business in under 24 hours. So if you make your application today, we promise that we can be able to actually register you in under 24 hours. I like to use an example that my boss likes, that when you arrive at the airport, for instance, if you're an investor, and you get yourself to Nairobi at 8 o'clock and you say business meeting at 10 o'clock, if you are happy with the business deal that has been floated to you, you can actually register your company. And by the time you're taking your evening flight, you have your company ready. So I don't know whether I have said more or less of what is expected of us, but I'd like to say that moving forward, that the digital space is the place to be at the moment. Like I said, this is a journey that began in 2016, and it is not by accident that we're actually here. I can tell you that amongst so many government departments, we have remained open, and we have a lot of information on our site. If I can be able to also just share that site with you, it is actually, brs.go.ke. That's our site. I hope everyone can be able to view that. Doris?
Yes, you can be able to view it. We can see
Yes.
it.
Yeah, so this is brs.go.ke. That's our site. It actually has got a lot of information. It looks at the services that we offer, and those are the 4 registries that I pointed to you about. It also has the fee schedules on the services that we normally offer, and both under our 4 registries. And then we have downloads. In the case that you did not follow probably what I was saying, because I was probably too fast, there are user manuals that are here on how to go about various things that we do offer. We have legislation, we have publications, we have the various forms that are needed. We have an info center. I remember Liz talked about this, and I'd like to say that we are making a lot of effort to make sure that our customer care desk is up to par, because what this has brought is a lot of interaction with members of the public. And more often than not, they ask questions that we can be able to either answer on mail or on phone. But we also have, you know, an FAQ that we normally, that we've put on the site that enables us to actually tell you, as you know, quick things without you calling us. And then there's an email that is at the top here, which is eo@brs.go.ke. I'd like to say without a shadow of a doubt that this is an email that is accessed by the institution CEO on a daily basis. EO actually means executive office. So you are able to interact with the CEO on a daily basis, and every other time that you'd want to escalate issues that you think need to be escalated to him. So yeah, I think that has been my time. I hope that I'm going to receive quite a number of questions so that I can be able to answer them.
Perfect. So thank you so much, Duncan, for your presentation. I think he was worried that Liz might outshine him with a presentation, and he had a plan. So thank you so much, Duncan. And I think one of the things that I like that Duncan has done with this presentation is that the reason why we're having this webinar is to try to simplify some of the conversations that young people are facing in regards to trade. So Janet just spoke about the positivity around COVID-19. Become creative, adapt as a business and become creative. Liz talked about something very important. Don't have a negative mindset and saying, oh, staying at home is costing me so much money. Social distancing, my business is going to die. Start thinking on the essence that, okay, this is what I'm saving on. So I'm going to take that money and invest it in something else. I'm going to shift my whole business to the e-commerce. And Duncan has already told you that after having all these skills from Liz and Janet, this crisis is presenting you an opportunity to start up a business from your house, from your phone. And he went a step further and gave you a whole presentation on how you can do it. He has given you the website where you can go to get this particular information. And he has said that have this email where they interact with you all the time in case you have a question. So I think that's a very, very important part, because I'm sure there are a lot of people who want to start businesses, but maybe they didn't know how to legitimize, like to make those particular businesses legal. And if your business is legal, then you can use all the things that we have learned here to move it to the digital space. So I think we'll go now to our last panelist, Bernard. Bernard, are you here? Hello, Bernard. Can you hear me?
How are you?
Hi, I'm good. Is your internet good?
My internet is super. Though I had downgraded from a higher provider to a lower provider, Zuku had issues, so I had to shift.
Okay, perfect.
The lost customer, I guess.
Okay. So Bernard is the co-founder of and the CEO of a platform called Onyesha Technologies. So one of the questions, I'll just move straight forward to the first question, Bernard. So as a co-founder of Onyesha, a platform that tries to offer online portfolios for businesses, during this time where young people are trying to shift from the normal way of doing business to the e-commerce space, could you try to highlight to people why it's so important for a particular business or particular individual to have an online portfolio, and especially if you want to move to the e-commerce space? And then you also participated, you're also very passionate about startups, and you recently participated in season 2 and season 4 of Lion's Den. So can you tell us some of the key productive lessons that you learned about a startup? And already, Duncan has already showed young people how to register a business, but I'm sure somebody may not be having the skills on how to navigate through starting up a business, or what do I need to do? So could you highlight those 2 things that I've asked? So thank you, Bernard, and over to you.
Yeah, thank you guys for the time. I'll be trying to be as brief as possible because I know some of you are already hungry. So I co-founded Onesha. We've done 1,000+ jobs for 100+ clients in more than 5 countries. We started in 2016, and we currently have a creative network of over 1,000+ creatives who are using our platform. I think even Janet is also part of our creative network, very helpful in terms of giving us insight for social media marketing for some of our clients. The reason why it's important for I think every creative, and in extension young people, to have an online presence, one is to have access to global markets. This may not exactly apply to some other verticals, but most of the skills that most young people have in the country are things that can be delivered online. I like the point that Janet mentioned about constantly talking about your brand online, because someone somewhere can spot you on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram and get your product. Take an example of a service like web design, for example. Right now, most students, undergraduates, mostly 3rd years, 4th years, or those people who are doing their masters in computer science or web design, those are people who can actually do their services without necessarily going to a place. They can work with a client in Nairobi to London to Frankfurt. The location really doesn't matter. A case study is we have a few creatives who are servicing clients in various markets. Creatives in Nairobi working with clients in New York, San Francisco, Europe, Germany, South Africa. And these are people that you never thought they could have access to jobs outside their locality. But when they joined an online platform like Onesha, they were able to be opened up to a great opportunity and being told, oh, actually, I don't have to really focus on my local area. I can upskill my technical know-how of this thing that I'm really passionate about and be able to provide top value or industry standard delivery to customers. So access to global market is very key, more so for skills that can be done online. I'm sure we are all conversant with platforms like Upwork. This here in Roysambu, it's full of writers, and all those writers get their jobs from American universities, and it's really encouraging to see that happening. And we have some of those people working with some of the businesses, for example, who require writing. So we are seeing currently, actually, one of the interesting things I've seen for the past 2 weeks or so, we had writers who are doing writing for US universities, but US universities closed, so they had no jobs, they had no one to write for. So they shifted to writing for businesses that were looking for people to write about COVID-19, specifically for their industries. So we are seeing a very quick shift in terms of how someone applies their skill in the current crisis. And that is all made possible by the internet and access to platforms that can open up these young people to these opportunities. I think I think we've covered pretty much of online presence. I wouldn't want to go much into that. About Lion's Den, we've taken part twice. The first one, we pitched the product. It wasn't really, let me say, refined, because we didn't know what our target market is. We were raising a lot of money for a very high valuation. Revenue was very minimal. Basically, the learning from that was before you go to look for funding, or before you go to talk to serious partners or people, it's important for you to have your house in order, so that any questions that these people might have, you're able to tackle it with experience or with some knowledge. So it's very key for you to have industry knowledge of the market that you are in, so that you're able to even extend your customer value proposition to people outside your space or customers outside your space. So the learning from there was basically just get your house in order before you go to look for investor. The second time was, I think, a year ago or something. We managed to close in a deal with a few investors, but let me just say it here, it never closed after the done, because the terms were not in agreement with what we had in mind, and we got a different investor to put in money to the business. I wanted to, for the startup question, I wanted to focus really fast on key things that I think most businesses should be focusing on right now, because I think that is where most of us are here. I'm going to share a small screen. I'm going to share a presentation. It's 5 or so slides. I won't bore you guys, so don't have boredom. Let me share my screen. Are you able to see this? Are you able to see this?
It's blank, so yeah, we can be able to see it now.
So there are things that I think I'm going to do the discussion in terms of from the strategic perspective. What should businesses do at the moment to ensure they have at least 18 months of planning in their, either in their operations, in their sales, sustainability, or how they talk to customers. And we have used this template for a few of our customers, and I thought it would be wise for me to share it. So you need to have various scenarios in terms of how this crisis folds out. One we have is scenario A, scenario B, scenario C. Scenario A is basically we are under 3 months lockdown. The situation is not changing for the next 3 months, and you anticipate an X% revenue loss. So if you are making $1,000 a month, you are expecting that number to reduce to maybe 70% to 70% of what you're making initially. So you need to plan for that scenario in terms of if I've reduced my revenue by 30%, how does the next 3 months look like? So if we are under 3 months lockdown or 3 months uncertainty period, you need to have at least 12 months of liquidity in your business to ensure you're able to take care of your, your various expenditure things in your business. Plan B, if scenario A continues, you need to, if you have reduction in 15% revenue, you need to reduce your expenses also by 15% for you to ensure at least you have 18 months worth of liquidity in your business. Plan C, the same thing. So as you reduce as your revenue reduces, you also need to double down your reduction in terms of expenses for you to increase your runway in terms of how you want to get out of this situation. Then we have scenario B. If this goes on for the next 6 months, you want to ensure all these various options in terms of plan A, plan B, plan C are able to cover your 9 months liquidity, 12 months liquidity, 18 months liquidity. Then scenario C is the worst case scenario, whereby you have a reduction in revenue. What if my revenue comes to 0? What do I do for my startup? What do I do for business? So you need to also plan for that scenario. Most people forget about the last scenario in terms of if your revenue has gone down by 50%, you ignore the fact that one day it might come to 0. So you get someone ends up closing their business because they hadn't done proper preparation, more so for startups. So it's important for us to plan all these scenarios and at least ensure we have 18 months worth of planning and 18 months worth of cash in the bank, or at least support that can enable you survive for the next 18 months. In terms of customers, I will quickly highlight.
Hello, Bernard, I have to interrupt you.
Go ahead.
I have to interrupt you for a minute. It seems that we are running out of time. So I
Sure.
will try and wrap up, please. I'll really be grateful.
Yeah, I'll summarize so that I'll send this on email. I think for customers, things that most people should be focusing on is your customer yesterday won't be your customer today or tomorrow. So ensure you ask your team to talk to customers, finding out where most of them are going to, and getting what we call customer discovery. Customer discovery means you can find out what your current customer is thinking, so that you can adjust business to their current needs. In terms of sustainability, there are key things that you need to put into consideration in terms of ensuring you're sustainable. One is to reduce your spending, improve your liquidity, and increase your time. Time is the most important thing. So you want to ensure that you have as much time as possible and as much runway as possible for you to have time to run experiments for your business. And let's all wait patiently until the market picks up. This is the time you shouldn't be spending on so much on capital expenditure or so much on marketing. It's advisable for you to reserve as much cash as possible so that you have some runway when markets open up. For in terms of sales, I think I mentioned that is the time to reduce your.
Hi, Ben.
In terms of,
your audio seems you're breaking. I don't know what's happening.
Hello?
Yeah, you are breaking. There are times that you're breaking. I don't know what's happening.
So are you getting me now?
Yeah, and I would kindly ask you, please, we need to wrap up. So if you, I like your presentation. So what we could do is that just like email it to me.
I'll send this on email. So I'm actually just done with them.
Yeah, like
presentation.
Go through all of it because I think we're running out of time. So we want to have enough time for all the panelists to give their parting shot. And I can see some of the panelists want to leave. So I would kindly request you that I cut you short. I'm so sorry that I have to do this. And then we will share your very elaborate and clear presentation with the attendees. So are you able to, can I give you 2 minutes to wrap up? Is that okay? 2 minutes?
Sure. So I think the last slide had concentration on team efficiency. It's important for you to increase, if you have a team or if you're alone, this is the best time for you to increase how efficient you are and reduce too much interdependence on the team. Then try as much as possible to be creative. I came across this photographer on Instagram. She turned her broccoli into some very nice photography experiences. So try to be as creative as possible in terms of how you communicate your brand. That's it. I'll send it on email, guys.
Okay, thank you so much. So you could just like stop sharing.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's keep it going. So I'm so happy we had to have this particular discussion. I just want to highlight some of the things that came from Bernard's speech. And I think one of the most important things that came out is that you need to have a business plan. You cannot register a business as you cannot adapt, like Janet said. You cannot be able to think about the cost that you're saving, like Liz highlighted, and you cannot be able to be taking risks, as Michael said, because Michael talked about being able to try new stuff, because he was talking about how he was able to go through a lot of social media flow within an hour. So try and put your business out there. So you cannot be able to do that if you do not have a proper business plan. You don't have a proper online portfolio out there. So I think that was very important for everybody. So I just want to do a wrap up of what everybody has said, but I think I've been doing that constantly with every speaker. So I wanted to ensure that we take into consideration what Liz said, because we wanted to have a wholesome conversation. We didn't want just a panelist to speak and then move to another panelist. We wanted to keep on highlighting the key areas that the key constituent areas that everybody was bringing out. So I'm very happy to have you guys. I mean, Janet, thank you, Duncan, Liz, Bernard, Sandra, Lawrence. I mean, thank you so much for joining us, because one of the reasons why we decided to have this webinar is to try and simplify these particular conversations that young people are facing. Because, sometimes you can have, as a young person, you can be overwhelmed. You can try to go to the internet and Google how to register a business, but there's too much information. So Duncan has done that for us. You can try and understand, how do I move to the digital space and market my business. You can become overwhelmed by millions of articles on Google, and Janet has simplified that for us. So I think every panelist has really tried to simplify those particular very complex conversations, and we are very grateful to have you here. So I can see Grace's internet is back, and Grace is back here with us. So what I will do, I'll hand over to Grace so she can be able to give every panelist, I think, 3 to 5 minutes to give their parting shot. And then after, before we do that, I think, yeah, Grace will do that. We'll do a parting shot, and then I think there was one more thing I had to say about Marketing Society of Kenya. I think Marketing Society of Kenya is launching a campaign during Red Cross Month to celebrate young people that are on the front lines of COVID-19 floods and locusts, like the apocalypse, so many problems. So they're going to launch a campaign where young people are sharing videos to talk about their story. So I think before we do the wrap up, Sandra could talk about that. Sandra, are you here? Hello, Sandra. Omariba, Sandra. Okay, so let's just go to Grace. Sandra will come back. Oh, she's here. Okay, Sandra, can you talk about that, your campaign? Your audio.
Sorry about that. So the Marketing Society of Kenya and UNCTAD Youth, Vijana Tupo Initiative, and Red Cross Kenya, the youth. This is all. It all comes from the youth collaboration. So we want to run a campaign on Youth Changemakers Kenya, on how the youth are going to share. They're going to share what they're doing at home, because the youth are confined to their homes. Most of them, we are all confined to our homes. So we need to share what each individual is doing and how they're going to create an impact, even while they're just at home. Yeah, so it's basically going to involve all the youth, which is between 18 and 35 years old. So you can post videos, you can share articles, and use the hashtag YouthChangeMakersKE. Yes, and we hope it's going to be very interesting and very engaging to the youth in Kenya. Yeah,
and there's one more thing that Sandra forgot to mention, that she's going to post more details after this webinar on the MSK page, and we'll try to give more information about the campaign. So I think I've said enough. So Grace, so you can do wrap up.
Okay, hi everyone. I'm really sorry for the technical difficulties we had a while ago. But I'm very glad that we had this discussion today. I'm very happy that I got to partner with UNCTAD Youth Action Hub Kenya and the Marketing Society of Kenya to bring this series of webinars. And I hope that to all our attendees, this has been very, very impactful. One thing that I always say is that change is a prerequisite for growth. So this is change. It's something that it's unusual. We have not experienced it before, but it is the prerequisite for growth. And one thing, when we were thinking about this series of webinars, I was asking myself, what is common about the multinational companies that are around the world? And that is, for example, look at Amazon, look at Microsoft, look at Apple. All of them are technologically based companies. That means that the technology is a good norm that we are moving to, and all of us should embrace it. So thank you everyone for being here. I'm just going to give each panelist 3 minutes to give a parting shot as we wrap up. We'll start with Janet.
Hi, once again, thank you so much for all these sessions that we have had from the panelists. I've actually learned something new from, sorry, I think I'm forgetting the names. I'm not good with names. About the businesses and registering on eCitizen. That is actually Duncan. Thank you so much for that. I really do appreciate. Now I can be able to talk about that to my fellow people who have been asking me on how to go about it. On my parting shot, someone asked something to do with conversions. marketing is a long term. And when you're marketing, it doesn't mean the first week you're doing your marketing, you will get the highest conversions. It takes time. You have to be patient. You have to continue doing what you're doing and always track. Tracking will actually help you know if the efforts that you're putting into your marketing is they are gaining anything, or they are producing leads, or at the end of the day, they're giving you conversions. And something else about conversions, people and brands have different conversions they can talk about in terms of the KPIs, what they want to achieve. And that's where, when you talk about conversions, you have different ways on how we approach it. There's some who can look at it from the aspect of return on investment, or the money they get back. Some of them will look at conversions from a point where they just wanted brand awareness and they attained it. Some of them will look at it from the aspect of lead generation. So it's a broad topic, and I would love to be able to discuss that in detail for that individual who asked it. So you can actually follow me on Africa Twitch Chat on Twitter, or at Janet Machuka _ so that we can be able to talk more about that. Maybe something to say as I sign out. Follow Africa Twitch Chat. Learn with us every Wednesday. We have a lot of content on digital marketing, and we love questions, and we love guests, and we love a community that wants to learn, wants to create relationships, and at the end of the day, wants to benefit business-wise. Thank you.
Thank you, Janet. Thank you, Janet, for that. Lawrence, kindly. Lawrence, okay.
I'm finally here, and I'm finally going to turn on my video so people can put a face to the name. So I'm just going to give my closing remarks, even though I thought that I was going to do this after everyone else. But to all the panelists, it's been a great pleasure for us to have you on this call, and for us to discuss this topic, the e-commerce topic. And I like that we have been able to tie up very many aspects of what the e-commerce is, right from Liz speaking about how they are leveraging e-commerce in the organization for learning, EduCommerce. By the way, I'm tuned in from Ethiopia, so I'm actually going to follow that from this side. So to Duncan, who's fielded for us how to enable registration of businesses on the platform without having to do it physically, to Janet, teaching us about creating niches, and Bernard as well for your great insights on a platform that is helping creatives to get work, which is another form of e-commerce, which I'd like to coin a word for it on this talk, on this call, service commerce or serve commerce, because what you're doing is more or less an e-commerce function. And to Michael as well for demystifying for us what it takes for risks in this area. Lest I sell myself short as well, I am a co-founder for an e-commerce platform that is a niche platform for fashion brands and designers. So, and that is why I'm actually here in Ethiopia, building a supply chain that is going to plug into the regional value chains, given the challenges we are experiencing today with COVID. The global value chains are slowly shutting down, and I think that we are now going to resort to regional value chains where you can manufacture your clothes from Ethiopia, and you can be able to set up a selling base in Kenya and acquire your materials for that from Tanzania. So this all is in the I think this all is in the enablement of the e-commerce way of doing businesses. So I'll say no more. I need to run and go to the office. But we are very happy that you could all join us. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. And we are going to have a 2.0. I feel like we need an e-commerce 2.0. Some issues such as the intellectual property, tax for e-commerce, which I saw Liz and Abiagina, who I saw on this call as well, asked, I think are very critical, and we might have to do a 2.0 for this. So we hope that you will answer our call when we invite you again to do a 2.0. Thank you so much.
Well, Lawrence, please, I just wanted to say something. Like when we wanted to start this webinar, one of the people that were very supportive of the hub was Lawrence. And I just wanted to take like this time for everybody to thank him, because he's one of the people that really created this platform for us. So thank you, Lawrence.
It's a pleasure, always. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Lawrence. Thank you so much. Liz, kindly.
Thank you, Lawrence, so much for that insight. I don't know how you made it to Ethiopia, whether it was before or after the quarantine. You need to tell us tips. But all the best in your endeavor. Yeah. My parting shot is just to leave everybody with this African saying that says, when the roots are deep, there is no reason to fear the wind. So once you have established your setup, your e-commerce platform, just as Duncan advised and some of the great insights from Bernard, it's a shame we didn't get to see the entire presentation because it had a lot of key information from what Janet has said, from what Michael has said. I think once you are really established and your roots are deep, you have no need to fear any challenges that come your way. I think you will be bound for success. There are quite a number of challenges we're still experiencing on e-commerce, but I think as the ecosystem is building together, all these challenges will be dealt with accordingly. Have a lovely weekend. That's it.
Good one.
Thank you. Duncan, kindly.
Thank you, Grace. I'll make this very short and sweet. It's been a good interaction session. I've actually got to learn quite a bit. I got to learn quite a bit about the UNCTAD Youth Hub from Lawrence. Janet did a very good presentation on digital marketing, which I found very, very enlightening. Liz, of course, on the right forum for our market segments. And this is probably where I'll need to put a request to you that we have spent quite a bit of time sharpening the axe as the youth. So it is time to cut down the tree. So when you're crystallizing your presentations on digital marketing, on the market segments that we need to reach, it's about time that you actually get to formalize some of the things that you have. For instance, if it's your business, formalize it. Register it as a business or register it as a private company. And then secondly, please go into these websites for Kenya intellectual property in terms of getting the protections that you need under the law and also under the Kenya Copyright Board. There's someone, one of the attendees who was chatting me on the side to ask about that. And also allow me to also answer another question about the submitted names. In the case that you submit names and none of the 5 goes through, then we send it back to you for a correction, but you don't pay again. So you get a chance to submit other names and we're able to look at it. I want to thank Michael as well on the risk management, because I think that's the next big thing with regard to e-commerce. There's a lot of risk there, just like in the previous way of doing things, but of course there are solutions. Bernard did very well on creatives and marketing, and I'd like to thank him for that. And I hope that we are going to look at his presentation that he's going to send on email. My parting shot again is to say that if you interact with our system, you're going to realize that it's a very interactive system. And the good thing about it, it is a Kenyan solution. We did not bring the Chinese here to come and do it for us. These are Kenyans who are working on it. And therefore, I want to tell the youth out there that there are opportunities for you in government. And please, when you have something that you can share, please go out there and muscle out with the Chinese, with the Europeans. You are as good or even better than them. Asante.
Thank you. Michael, kindly.
Well, I'll keep mine simple. My parting shot is we've been given a very valuable resource during this pandemic, and that's time. So as much as we also take this time to invest and sort of transform our platforms and our businesses, let's also take this time to grow ourselves, to skill up extremely, and so that in the future when things, if they go back to normal or whatever new norm comes out, this time will not have been in vain. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. And finally, Bernard.
Thank you guys for your time. Thank you, Janet, for the insights on digital media marketing. Liz, on the work you're doing at AMREF, it's very insightful. I'd love to go and look at the work you're doing at LEAP and Jibu, learn a few things from it. Thank you, Duncan, for the things you're doing at eCitizen. Most of us hate government, but it seems you guys are doing amazing work. It will be interesting to see how you guys integrate eCitizen with KRA. I'm very keen on that. Thank you, Grace, for the session. And thank you, Lawrence. I think he has left. He's been a good friend of mine for quite some time. My parting shot, honestly, if you run a business or know anyone who runs a business, I think inform them to buy as much as time as possible by reserving their cash. It's going to be a very tough few weeks. I remember we had a session with our investors and things are not looking pretty. So it's important for you to buy yourself as much time as possible. I'll send the presentation to Grace to share the rest of it with you guys. No pressure.
Great. That has been a very wonderful session. We have learned a lot. I personally has learned a lot. And I'm hoping to have more online conversations with young people. I'm hoping that we can meet more in different platforms, not only Zoom. I'm aware that not many can access Zoom, but there are those that can access Facebook. There are those that can access simple, like I